As you can imagine, going on a 4 to 6 month long hike requires a lot of planning. I've spent nearly a year prepping for my through hike by dialing in my gear, learning about different sections of the trail, and working to improve my cardiovascular fitness. But by far, the most intense part of this planning process has been the 2 months leading up to my actual hike. This is the time I spent actually organizing my everyday life so that I could step away from it for a few months while I'm on trail. I tried to document as much of this process as possible so that I could share what it's actually like to logistically make a through hike happen. And that's what you're watching right now. Even though my planning started 6 years ago when I learned about the trail, what it means to do a through hike and the gear you need and the skills you need, the real planning feels like it started 6 weeks ago. I just booked a one-way ticket to Georgia. It's happening! I'm really doing this thing. Booking my flight is what really lit a fire under me to get everything else done to actually make my through hike happen. One of the things that I have to do to prep everything before my hike is I need to come up with a solution for my plants. I have a lot of these around my apartment and I don't want them to die while I'm on the trail, so I need somebody to take care of them, and Christina has offered to take care of my plants for me so I can have them when I come back from the trail. And so I'm trying to make that process as easy as possible, and one of the ways I'm doing that is by putting plastic trays underneath all of my plants so that she can just water them in place. What I usually do is bring all of my plants to the bathtub. It's a whole production. I soak them all the way through and then let them drip out all the excess water, and then I hang them back up, and then I have to clean the bathtub, and I don't want to ask her to do that every week. So instead I'm just gonna give her a watering can and tell her to just fill them until water starts to trickle into the plastic trays. We're just gonna call it good. It's not the greatest way to take care of your houseplants, and you can't get away with doing that for a very long time, but I think for 5 to 6 months it's gonna be okay. They will all survive, I'm sure. I have a bunch of hanging plants, so just underneath of their macrame hangers I'm putting the plastic trays, and then I have some in the living room that are just sitting on a shelf that I'm just gonna put the trays underneath. And then I'm actually gonna practice watering them in this way today so that I can make sure that it's realistic to ask somebody else to do. And yeah, they all have trays. So, plants are prepped. About 4.5 weeks before the start of my through hike, I gathered all of my gear and packed it into my backpack just as I would for any backpacking trip. I included 3 days of food and almost 2 liters of water, and I went on a shakeout hike just to make sure that I was still comfortable with the weight of my pack and the way that I was packing it. The hike was around 7 miles and mostly elevation gain and loss, so I think it was a good test of the way that my pack felt. This made me even more excited. It felt so good to put my pack on again. I'm sure I'm gonna laugh hearing that 3 months from now, but right now I'm excited. We're a little under 4 weeks out, so today I'm gonna clean and waterproof the tent that I'm gonna bring. 40% of my days, statistically, are going to be in the rain, so shelter needs to be waterproofed. Say hi. Hi. Erect tent, spray evenly to outside of fabric. Rub in well with a damp cloth or sponge. Then rinse with clean water using a cloth or sponge, and then air dry. I have a wash that you spray on and actually like scrub it and clean it. And after you do that and rinse it off, you go in with this solar proof. It's a waterproofer and a UV blocker. She needs some TLC. 24 days. Today we're treating all of my clothes, the bottom of my tent, and my backpack with permethrin. It kills ticks when they come into contact with it, and it also repels mosquitoes and gnats and other flies as well. Mostly just want to keep the ticks off of me so I can worry a little bit less about them while I'm on trail. All of my clothes. I got Christina's shoes and some of their socks too. And then this is actually the poncho I'm gonna be wearing, this blue thing, so it's kind of getting a bonus treatment. Then 3 weeks before the start of my through hike, I planned out the first 4 days of the trip. That's because my partner Christina is going to be joining me for the first 4 days, and we needed a concrete start and end, and I just treated that like any other weekend backpacking trip. I made a plan for us to start at the Amicalola Falls Visitor Center and end at Neal Gap. It's It's about 40 miles between each of those places, and I made a rough plan of what shelter we could sleep at each night, but of course that's flexible. I just wanted to make sure that the total trip was a reasonable amount of mileage to do in 4 days. I booked a rental car to get us from the airport to the start of the trail. I organized a shuttle to pick us up from the Byron Reese trailhead, which is a trailhead very close to Neal Gap where we can park our car for the 4 days that we're actually on trail. And the shuttle that I arranged will pick us up at the Byron Reese trailhead and drive us down to the Amicalola Falls Visitor Center on day 1. Finally, I had to book 2 hotel rooms. I booked one hotel for our first night in Georgia, the night that our flight arrives, and then I booked another hotel in Blairsville, Georgia, which is about 20 minutes west of Neal's Gap. That's where we're going to stay at the end of our trip before the following day when Christina will have to drive the rental car back to the airport and fly home, and I will continue on with day 5 of my thru hike. Once all of this was done, that's when I really felt like, okay, this is happening. Like, I've put several $100s into this plan at this point. 2 weeks before my hike, I spent a lot of time working on my social media accounts just to get them ready for while I'm on trail so I can spend as little time as possible posting to social media and instead actually enjoying my hike and being in the woods and hopefully feeling at least a little disconnected. So to do this, I created templates for a lot of things. So all of my daily vlogs that I plan on posting have defaulted titles, default descriptions, so I don't have to type all of that every single time. I made a template for my thumbnails, so all I have to do is add a picture underneath and put whatever numbered day it is. I even had some time to draw a cute little AT logo that I plan on putting on top of my thumbnails. That was really fun to make. I have video proof just to show that it's not AI and I did hand draw that logo. I also even made a content calendar for myself so that I don't have to spend a ton of time on trail thinking about what day I'm supposed to be posting, so I can just look at that and know when I need to schedule things and when I need to get things done, basically. 1 week before I began prepping the actual supplies that I was going to bring on the trail, over the last few months I have bought a ton of snacks and just all kinds of stuff that I know that I'm going to want in my resupply boxes. I'm not planning to send myself a ton of resupply boxes. I'm expecting to send like 5 to 7 over the course of the trail, mostly in places that I've heard are difficult to resupply at, but then I also have some personal commitments that require me to have specific things at specific times. I will talk about those things and reasons when they come. I prepped my breakfasts for the first 2 stretches as well as for my first meal drop because I got this big bag of granola I wanted to use. First 3 mornings, second 3 mornings, Smokies meal drop. I spent so much time going over my gear list over and over again to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything that I was going to need and I wasn't bringing anything too extravagant. I did make a few gear changes in the week before. I found a $2 hairbrush mirror combo at Winco and I replaced my separate comb and mirror with that. $2 comb is actually lighter. You might remember from my gear video that I mentioned I thought I was going to replace my food bag with a zippered bag, and I ended up doing that before I even left for the trail. I got the Backcountry Exposure Mesa bag in the extra large size. This bag arrived 6 days before I started the trail, so I went ahead and made sure that my first stretch of 4 days worth of food was going to fit in that food bag. Woohoo! This is my food for the first 4 days, so I kind of have it lined up 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 2,500 calories a day. So I have my dinners, my lunches. Dinner the last day will be in town, so I didn't have to pack a dinner. Second breakfasts, first breakfasts. This one's empty because I'll get free breakfast at our hotel before we start the hike. And then I have snacks, kind of rationed out for every day. And then I have extra snacks over here in these baggies. I have some chickpeas and some nerd clusters. And then these are hemp seed hearts that'll go in my granola on these days, just for some extra nutrition. And then electrolytes and coffee for every day. And then tortillas, which is what all of my lunches will go on. So I have 5 tortillas. And that is not even packed super efficiently. It's just packed by day, by layer. It'll be so much easier. I also gathered the food from my first mail drop, which is the food that I'm gonna need for the Smokies. But what I'm really worried about is if the food from my first resupply is gonna fit in there. This isn't all the way full. It's 5 days of food. And this bag is only supposed to fit 4 days. This is my Smokies resupply. Same order. Dinner's up here. I'm not gonna do freeze-dried dinners for every meal on the trail, but they are a treat and really nice to have sometimes. So I'm starting with them because it's easy, and then I'm giving them to myself for the Smokies to boost morale on some higher elevation, higher mileage days. I'm hoping to be in the Smokies for just 4.5 days, so that's what I'm planning for, but obviously I will figure out if that's reasonable after being on the trail for a while, but that's what I'm planning for now, and then I can always get food for an extra day nearby if I need to, but for now this is what I'm gonna send myself because I don't want to send myself too much food and then waste it or have to carry a whole bunch. Got dinner for 4 days, lunch for 4 days, second breakfast are these pro meal bars, first breakfast I have these plus granola and hemp seeds. At the bottom are my daily snacks, and then I have extra snacks over here, apricots and mango. I have greens powder and some creatine, I promise. Some good electrolytes because I don't know how easy those are going to be to find on the trail. And then these go with my lunches, so I have tortillas, some Trader Joe's olives, and then some sauce packets for my lunches. And then the only other things going in the resupply is a new roll of toilet paper, some more plastic flossers, new sponges, a new sandwich size baggie, and then a new gallon trash baggie. And since that's a larger resupply of 5 days, I was also curious if that was gonna fit in the food bag. So, max 4 days of food. This is 4 days. That's filled to the brim. And no room for my toiletries. So, first night in the Smokies, I'm gonna have to like hang my toiletries and any extra food from like a different stuff sack. But also putting this in my bag sounds like a nightmare, so whatever, I'll figure it out. Just repacked the first 4 days of food. Did that in a bad order. Now watch TSA take this apart. Today is 6 days from the start of my thru hike, and I'm going to get new shoes. Let me kind of explain my shoe situation because I'm not totally crazy or clueless. I know I shouldn't be getting brand new shoes right before my thru hike, but the shoes that I have been using are not going to work. I have been wearing Hoka Challenger 7s for the last 2 years whenever I hike and backpack, and they've been fine for the most part, but as I'm adding more mileage and I started trail running in them, I've just been getting blisters on the outsides of my toes, on the outside of my big toe and the outside of my pinky toe. And so that's why I thought I should get a shoe with a wide toe box. And I've just heard that generally in thru hiking, a wide toe box is ideal because your feet swell so much and you're doing so much activity. So that's why I bought these shoes. These are the Ultra Timp 6s. I bought these a few weeks ago. I brought them on a test hike. It was about 7 miles. There was a lot of elevation gain, a lot of elevation loss. I was wearing my fully loaded pack, so I thought it was a good test of the shoes, and I liked them after that hike, so that's why I decided that I was going to bring these shoes. They're also the shoes I mentioned in my gear video because I was pretty confident I was gonna wear them. But then I wore them on a hike yesterday that was about 4 miles, and it was mostly flat, and I was just so uncomfortable in the shoes. My toes were rubbing a lot on the sides and on the top of the shoes. At the end of the hike, my heels kind of hurt a little bit, and so I did a whole bunch of research into shoes and trail runners, and I had done a lot of research into shoes since I got into running, but I didn't do enough research on these Timp 6s before I bought them, and I learned that they are a zero drop shoe, which might be so obvious to everybody watching this that knows anything about ultras. I didn't realize that was their whole company thing, was no drop or zero drop shoes. I know they have newer shoes that have low drop, but I've tried all of those on and I didn't like them. The only ones I even remotely liked on my feet were the Timp. I think Ultra is just not going to be it for me for now. I also, in my research, learned that I've been wearing the wrong shoe size for I don't even know how long. I thought it was a 7.5 and I was stretching up to an 8, but I'm actually somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. I don't think I could wear a 9, but I might try some 9s on, but I think 8.5 is what I should be getting. I got these Ultras in a size 8. That might also be why my Hokas don't work. Maybe the Hoka Challenger is fine if I got an 8.5 instead of an 8. I think I still want the wide toe box if possible. I also learned that I might have narrow feet, so a wide toe box might not be the right choice for me. But that's confusing since all of my running shoes and hiking shoes with narrow toe boxes have given me blisters on the outside of my toes. I learned about a brand, Topo. So this is another brand where the shoes have a wide toe box, but I guess they're a little bit better for people with a narrow heel and a narrow midfoot. So I'm gonna try on a couple of those right now and hopefully find a pair that I like because I need shoes for the trail and I officially don't have any. 6 days before. Shit. I'm back. I have new shoes. These are Topo Mountain Racer 4s. So they're a lot grippier on the bottom. They have this like really nice grip, so I think that that's gonna be good. I was between these and the Ultra Venture 4s, and I did really like the Ultra Venture 4s. Oh, I hope I don't regret it. I like the way those ones fit my foot better, around like my midfoot specifically, because these ones kind of feel like they pull me in this way a little bit, so we'll see about that. But what I do like about these ones is that they attach to my gaiters, which is a stupid reason to buy shoes because I can always attach Velcro back here to shoes that don't have Velcro, but it's really nice that it's built in. And I like the really grippy bottom. These are my new shoes. I'm gonna try them out probably today because I think it's gonna rain the next 2 days.
Where did you cut? Where was that? Were you
pocket.
recording our conversation?
Yeah. Today is 5 days from day 1 of the thru hike, and I packed my bag. My backpack is going to be my carry-on since Christina's coming with me. We can check a bag together. This is kind of the best use of space. So pretty much everything is in the bag already except for my electronics that I need to charge and things that I can't bring in a carry-on. So those things I've set aside and we're going to put in like an actual shared check bag that we're going to use. This is the stuff that has to go in the checked bag. That's my sleeping bag. It will be crushed up a lot smaller when I actually put it in the checked bag. I will put that into its stuff sack right before we leave. And then I have in here just things that I don't have room for in my bag, like my shoes, extra food for my second stretch so I don't have to worry about doing a full resupply, more wet wipes, a new roll of toilet paper, my sit pad, and then things that I can't bring in my carry-on, like my trekking poles, tent stakes. I'm just gonna put the tent poles in the check bag also, and then my knife is in here, and this is just my whole bathroom bag, but it has my trowel in it. Some of those things, maybe all of them, you are technically allowed to bring on a carry-on, except the knife, but they're things that I think TSA might not like, and I'm just not willing to risk them, so I'm just putting them in the check bag as I have them. A few days before, I updated my Garmin InReach plan from the basic enabled plan to the essentials plan. This new plan gives me unlimited check-in messages and 50 free text messages a month. That's really crucial for me since I'll be using that to check in with my emergency contacts whenever I don't have cell service. So it's important to me that I don't have to worry about how many messages I have to send and that I have a plan that works for the level of communication that I need. I also took some time to test the Garmin and make sure that I remember how to use it, that the messages go through even when I don't have cell service, and I refamiliarized myself with all of the notification sounds so that nothing feels unfamiliar or overwhelming while I'm actually on the trail. And it's always good to test your devices and make sure they actually work before you're in an emergency situation and actually really need them. Finally, tomorrow, one day before I leave on this adventure, I'm going to mail my first resupply box. That is the box of food for the Smoky Mountains. I'm just going to go ahead and send the mail drop now because they will hold it for me, and at least this way I know that my package is going to be there when I get there and I don't have to wait for a package. I'm sure that there are so many small things that I'm forgetting to mention here or that I never thought to document. Hopefully this gives some insight into what it takes to actually logistically make a thru hike happen and kind of some of the little things of planning and preparing for the hike itself and not just the research aspect of things. This is officially the last video that I am going to post before my vlogs go live, so stay tuned for my Journey to the Trail video, which is going to get posted on May 12th. And then the daily vlogs will start May 13th. I'm really excited. I hope you are. I'll see you on the trail. Love you. Bye.